much. First of all, you won 4 in London. What do you expect of the game out here tomorrow?
Yeah, that it will be tough. Obviously, different competition that we've been really excited about playing against a team that we know they are good, they are tough. They made it difficult for us in the first leg, and tomorrow, yes, with the artificial pitch as well, becomes different. We need to get used to it, and today is a good day to practice.
Molde say they can have sold 40,000 to the game tomorrow, and a lot of them are Arsenal fans. Do you feel with the fans are not allowed to go to this game in these circumstances?
Yeah, but we are getting used to it, unfortunately. We have some news now as well in England with the Premier League that fans are going to be allowed in the stadium, which is great news, and everybody's been waiting for them. And let's see how now the clubs can cope with the final detail to provide a safe environment for them and the best possible conditions so everybody's safe and they can support and help us.
The last one from me, what do you expect from the Molde team? What kind of strengths do you see in their team?
A really organized team. They are very dominant in the league, obviously. They are so used to winning football matches. I expect them to have a real go tomorrow. They were aggressive when they play against us in certain phases of our play. Organized, really good on counter-attack and set pieces as well. So we want to be there, win the game, and we know that was going to give us the qualification.
Thank you.
Thank you, TV2 Norway. We'll now move to the guys on this call. If we go to Nick Callow from Haters, please.
Hi, Mikel. After the weekend's game when Nicolas Pepe got sent off, is this the perfect time for him to get straight back into the team and show that he's learned his lesson?
Yes, absolutely. And we all had disappointments or reactions in our playing careers. And obviously we were frustrated because when you play against a team like Leeds for a long time with 10 mates, it makes a huge difference, even more the way they play. He had a really good reaction. The way he apologized, the way he understood his responsibility, and hopefully tomorrow we can see the player that we want to see and have a good reaction and help his team.
What do you see the future being for him? Because someone said to me that could be the end of his career at Arsenal if he doesn't react well to this.
No, absolutely not. It's not about that, and I don't like that type of statement. I write that, and I will give Nico my full support all the time. He knows the things that he has to improve, but as well, we all know his qualities, and he has some responsibility. I have a lot of responsibility, which is to get the best out of him and get the best position for him, the best areas where he can do what he can do with the ball. And I cannot fault at all his effort. And if you see any of his stats, the way he's trying for the team, the way he's working, he's been the best since he's been at the club. But there are certain aspects that he can do better because he has the ability. And that's where I'm going to put him the pressure to deliver what he can do. But in any way to say that that's a threat for him to finish his career is not at all like that.
Just the final one from me and on him. Is it sort of a joint responsibility between you and him to get the best out of him as a player?
Absolutely. And the club made a huge investment on him. And obviously people expect a lot from him because he has this quality. And I said many times, and with the strikers and attacking players is the most difficult thing to be consistent when you have to create, when you have to unlock the door, when you have to score goals or score assists. But this is why he's here, and he needs to embrace that challenge and go for it. And we have to provide the best possible and ideal scenarios for him to be able to do that.
Cheers, thanks. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. We'll move to George Cummings from the BBC, please.
Thanks, Dan. Mikel, hello. I was just wondering, did Nicolas apologise to his teammates for what happened on Sunday? And I presume it's all done and dusted now and it's over.
Absolutely right. He did it. He did it personally. He did it publicly. And that's done. Let's move on. We don't want mistakes. We don't make decisions when we are in the middle of the heat. And it's about the reaction. What we learn from him individually as a team. And move on, and that's it, and go to the next game.
You talk a lot about sort of having to suffer to bring on better times. Are you in a period of bad form at the moment with this Arsenal team, and how are you going to get out of it?
Well, if you see the results that they're having in the Premier League and why teams win or lose games, the margins are minimal. Teams that are winning with one shot on target, with 2 shots on targets. We want to improve that, of course we do. But as well, there are many aspects that I am really happy, enthusiastic and optimistic. And when I see as well the young talents that we work here and the future that we can produce for them, it's things that gets me really excited. And I knew at least that we were going to go through difficult periods because you don't change issues that they've been going for years in little time, and considering the context and how we've been working, it makes it harder. But as well, we know that we are Arsenal and our aim is to be the best all the time.
Is Christian Eriksen someone who could solve your creativity problems?
There are a lot of players out there that can improve any team, but obviously we're not going to discuss any individuals.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Thanks, George. We'll move across to, we have a question from one of our friends in Norway, Arild Asberg Oldsalder, please.
Hi, Mikkel. Welcome to Norway.
Oh.
First of all, there's been a huge fuss in Norway about the international break where the Norwegian team had to stay in Norway and not play games. For you as a club manager, what do you think about the challenges that you're facing with these international games where all the players go to different countries and then they come back and they have different issues? For example, the Norwegian players were asked from the government to go in 10 days quarantine when they went back to their clubs, which they didn't do, but a lot of issues, no?
Yeah, well, the challenges that we are facing is that every government, every league are determining different rules and different guidelines as well. I will use the word unpredictability because we let a few players go in national teams and 2 of them, they are still away. So imagine how hard this is affecting to any team. Some of them play 3 times 3 full 90 minutes, which is insane with the amount of fixtures where we are playing. But at the moment, as managers and clubs, there is very little that we can do in the government. They don't support you in certain matters. So I assuming that for Molde, it's some issues. For us, they were different ones, but I think we are all suffering for these circumstances.
You have, of course, a Norwegian player in the under-23 team. He's injured now, but he made his debut for the first team, Luiz. What's your impression of him since he came to the club?
And there's a player with huge potential. Norway, you guys are developing a lot of talent in recent years, and it's that the fact that you're doing a lot of things right from the academy, probably the government, with some of the development programs that they have developed over the years. Now you can see some results, and I'm pleased to see that because that means that these leagues are getting more and more competitive and things are getting done better around Europe as well.
Yesterday, a lot of people linked Arsenal to the Sheffield player Sander Berge. Can you say something about it? I know that your assistant Albert has coached him before in Genk in 2017.
That's probably why Albert knows him really well. He's a player that he liked, but we haven't shown any interest on the player. He's a Sheffield United player, and we haven't done anything at all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arild. We'll move to Ian Abrahams from TalkSport, please.
Hi, Mikkel. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
You just touched on it right at the top about the fans coming back. I know Arsenal were very proactive at the beginning of October in getting fans, trying to get fans back for that game with Sheffield United. How encouraged are you that maybe from next week or the week after, you'll be able to have some fans, even if it is only 4,000 inside the Emirates?
Yeah, well, it would depend where we are in terms of the infections, but looks like we're going to be able to host some of our fans in the stadium, which is fantastic news. We've been working really hard as a club. The club has a really good project and everything is almost ready to try to accommodate everybody in a safe way. There are still some details that are not confirmed that makes next week a challenge, but the club is trying it best because myself and the players and the staff, we are all desperate to have them back watching the games.
Jurgen Klopp's had a go at the schedule in the Premier League, especially this early game on a Saturday. You haven't had too many of those at 12:30 because of the Europa League. But in general, has the schedule been too punishing? Do you think the broadcasters need to maybe acknowledge that the players need to have for their player welfare a little bit more time off and make the schedule less punishing for them?
Absolutely, we can give a few hours at least in this schedule. It makes a huge difference. When you are playing twice away as well around Europe, it makes the recovery time incredibly difficult. So yeah, if they can jump on board, I think it's beneficial for all parties, because at the end, this is an entertainment business and we have to provide the best possible outcome from that. And that only happens if the players are in the best condition to perform and physically ready to go.
And last one from me, Pierre, Emerick Aubameyang hasn't been in the greatest form in the last month or so. Are Arsenal too heavily reliant on him scoring the goals? Do you think that, I'm talking mainly about the Premier League now, do you think that they've become too reliant? They just expect him to score the goals all the time?
Well, when you have a player like him, obviously you're going to have to rely on him. It's not something that happens this year. It's something that had happened in previous season, that we have relied too much on him in recent years to score the goals. We need people to step in, to take more responsibility. We need goals from midfield and players from defender as well on set pieces to contribute to that. And all the players go through those periods. And Oba will get back and scoring goals very soon.
Thanks, Ian. We'll go to Charles Watson goal, please.
Hi, Mikel.
Hello.
I'm not sure if you've seen it today, Mikel, but Jack Wilshere's been speaking a little bit and said it would be a dream to possibly go back to Arsenal on a pay-and-play basis. He's just responding to a question, but what are your thoughts on that? Is there a possibility that your former teammate could come back to help solve the creativity issues?
We haven't analyzed that situation. What I can tell you about Jack, I think I said in the past what I thought about him as a player, as a teammate, and as a person, that I rate him really, really highly. But unfortunately, at the moment, we haven't looked at that. We are focused on the players we have and try to do the best we can with them.
Mm-hmm. Arsene Wenger used to invite former players to train to keep themselves fit. Would that be something you might look to do with Jack to help him?
Again, we have no request on that. We haven't been approached. I haven't been approached in any of that. It's just a question that you throw in at the moment. I cannot tell you much more than that.
Just on following Balogun, who's travelled with you, obviously gave him his debut against Dundalk. He's in the squad again. There's talk that contract talks have reopened with Balogun. Is that something that the club are looking to sort of nail down with him in the coming months, weeks?
Yes, he's a player that I want. He's a player that I want to stay at the club. I love working with young players that I can see the talent is there, the ambition is there, and they can fit with our structure and improve us in the future. It's part of our DNA, and I myself and the club are working to try to extend his contract, try to change the situation that we are in at the moment with him, and try to convince him that this is the right place for him.
Can I just ask on that? It had looked like the club had decided to let him go in the summer and talks had broken down. What has changed to sort of prompt the move now to reopen talks?
That I have decided that I want to keep the player. And the moment I started to see more of the player and change certain things that I didn't agree with, we decided to give it a go, try to convince the player, try to show him what we want to do with him, why he fits in what we are trying to do at the club. And the young talent and top talent that we produce at the academy is with the final aim to put it with the first team and make it a regular team with the team. And when I signed for this club, it was one of the things that excited me more, because I love to work with them, and it's part of our DNA of history of the club. So when we have them, let's keep them if we really think that they are the players that can take us to the next level.
Excellent.
Thanks, Charles. Last couple now, we'll go over to Jim Van Wyk at the Press Association.
Hi, Mikel, how are you?
I'm good.
Hi. With the Saka's injury, how are you viewing that one? Looks like he's going to be available for the weekend. So good news that he's not out for an extended period.
Well, it's very doubtful at the moment. We have a few players in contention. They had he was in a lot of pain the last few days, so I cannot say today that he's going to be fit. We will have to assess what happens the day before the game against Wolves, but we have all the players fit, and whether he's fit or not, we'll try to find the right solutions for our attacking players to prepare the game against Wolves.
Is it frustrating that you're in a position still in the Premier League where you can't use extra subs? We're seeing more and more impact injuries and strains and stresses from players. Do you think it's only a matter of time before they have to change things?
I hope so, because in the second halves, the moment you make 2 substitutions, you're just praying and you're just waiting, because you know that in any moment a player is going to go with a muscle injury, with a soreness, with some discomforts, and you make the 3 substitutions, obviously you are exposed in the last 15, 20 minutes. I think most of them we are feeling that way. Hopefully we can change the rule to adapt again to the circumstances that we have at the moment. And let's see we are able to do that soon, because the moment we start to play in December as well with the fixture we have is going to be pretty dramatic.
And finally, how does that then influence your decision for different players having different game times in the Europa League fixtures?
Well, at the moment, we cannot really pick and go. We had some very serious injuries in recent months with players out for long periods. We have some injuries. We have now a suspension. We have issues with COVID wards as well. So we haven't been in a position really where we can say, okay, he plays this game, he plays this game, because we have to accommodate with the amount of injuries and circumstances that we had. And hopefully that will change in a positive way in the next few months.
Thanks, Jim. And finally, we'll go to Nick Ames from The Guardian.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi, Nick.
Just on Nicolas Pepe again, if that's okay. Obviously, he'd been in and out of the side quite a lot before Sunday's game. Do you think that added to the pressure that he felt that maybe brought about the incident? And how can you help him to manage that pressure and maybe manage his reactions in future?
Just trying to support him, and he needs to feel that myself and the club are going to protect him. And we are giving him time, and he needed some time last year to adapt to the Premier League, to a new city, to a new language, to a new environment. And you could see at the end of the season the way he started to play. And the demands with him, with his ability, I am going to be very demanding, because I know what he can do. And he needs to deal with that. And I think he's dealing with it the right way. The other day he had a reaction that when you are on that pitch, obviously it's completely different of being outside to try to understand it. But he has reacted the right way, and hopefully I can see a player that shows that every week. And it's in his hands, honestly. It's a player that I really liked, that I know what he can give us, and it's completely down to him.
And just one more, if I can. How important or how helpful would it be to qualify tomorrow for the groups for the knockout stage from a squad management perspective, because the schedule is so brutal, as we mentioned?
For the squad managers, because in football, when you have the chance to grab something, do it in that moment, because you don't know what's going to happen in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, in any game. There are a lot of things that can happen. So I would tell the players, when you have it, if you can do it today, do it, and then forget about it, and let's move on.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. Thank you ever so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.